Where do I accept? Oh, you did it. So if somebody else comes in.
Their name is like.
Okay. Okay.
And then, you know, if you need to get rid of that.
Okay, awesome. Oh, good. We got one person. Thank you. Hi, Kobe. Kobe will unmute. Hi, Kobe. I'm not sure. Can you hear me okay? Good morning. Thank you. First timer here running this.
I got our mics muted.
Hi, how are you?
Good morning. Good.
Good morning. So hey, I don't think we've ever met before. I'm Anna with First American Home Warranty. Thanks for joining in. Would you like me to email you a link to the brochure so maybe we can kind of talk along and work through it together? Would that be helpful to you?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
That works.
let me grab my.
I'll put my email in the chat if that's easier for you, or do you just want me to say it aloud?
Okay, perfect.
Okay, give me 1 second.
I can get to it. It's not opening.
Just drop it in the chat.
Let's see it. Okay, let me shoot you an email real quick. And then we can get started. I don't know why it's not letting me. There we go. Just give me 1 second. I'll send you an email and then I haven't set up your account yet, but I will after the meeting. Does that work? And then so I'm going to send you an email with
Yes,
some.
thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Of course, my pleasure. So let me just pop this in, and then after the class, I can set up your email. Oh, it looks like there's somebody else in the waiting room, so let me let them in. So I'm going to attach the brochure, and then I'm going to attach one other thing. So you can take a look at that while I am letting in the other person, and then we'll go through it.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. This is in the waiting room. In the waiting room. Looks like there might be one. Okay, I think it's just us. Did you get the email?
I'm logging in now. Yes, yeah, I got it.
So we can jump in, but so I'm glad that you're attending the the talk, I guess, my TED talk, whatever you want to call it. So this is how to leverage home warranty in the real estate transaction right now. It's
Okay.
always been this way, but in the market that we're in, we're seeing that this has been for the last 3 years in the real estate market that we've faced, which was often running once they deemed real estate essential. They, kind of all the basic fundamentals of real estate kind of went out the window, and it was just, a frenzy, right? So
Right.
buyers were going well above list, they were waiving inspections, they were coming in, making up appraisal gaps. And so what was happening? What do you think was happening? Or I don't know if you experienced it yourself, what was happening when your buyers got into the house and started putting realtor pressure on systems? we started to see problems, right?
Mhm.
Complaints, concerns, and multiple system failures, and then it's frustration. They are frustrated. Some of them even to the point of a lawsuit or potential litigation. So, that's on the buyer side. And then if you're on the listing side, First American Home Warranty, you can place a home warranty from the time of listing to protect that listing transaction, right? So it's going to protect your seller from the time of listing through the listing period. That will, and again, it's complimentary. So your sellers will not pay anything until closing. And that is when really the warranty is being transferred from the seller to the buyer. That's when the
Mhm.
warranty is funded. So we're giving that seller coverage from time of list through listing period, including home inspection. And then it conveys to the buyer for 1 year. Again, that's when the warranty is funded. So what we're seeing now is the second part of the COVID market, is that we started to see when things kind of shifted enough that buyers, agents, realtors were getting their clients under contract and asking for inspections for information purposes only, right? I'll put it in air quotes, information purposes only. But then we were seeing that they were actually asking for repairs as a result of that home inspection. Okay, so from that, contracts were being released because repairs were being asked for and the buyers and sellers couldn't agree, right? Sellers had the mindset of, this is what we're listing for. We're not making any repairs. The house was sold as is, even though the buyer's agent was doing an inspection for information purposes only. But when something major was found, they asked for repairs, or that buyer was not willing to go forward. Okay, so at that point, that's how I say, that's the whole benefit of leveraging a home warranty in your real estate transaction, because we are that safety net. So we protect the seller from time of list through the listing period. Our contract covers against unknown pre-existing conditions. So, your seller may not disclose something to you and they think that everything's fine. They may be living in the house using systems, but then something's found in home inspection. That may be a point at which they just say, you know what, the buyer's like, well, if you're not going to fix this, the seller, and the seller's like, well, it was an as-is contract. What safety net do you have when you're not leveraging home warranty in your transaction? Okay, do you have any questions so far? Can you hear me?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm keeping up. Got you.
Okay. So again, on the listing side, it's the benefit. And now that the market shifted a little bit, we're seeing realtors list with our home warranty again. Again, it's complementary to your seller. So it's not going to cover it. They don't pay anything until closing, but should that unknown pre-existing condition come up, or a system actually fail during that escrow period, even once you go under contract, we protect the seller, but we're essentially protecting the transaction. Okay. So how you can leverage, be it listing, it's to you as a realtor when you're having that conversation with your seller, you're educating them that this is a tool for you that's going to help protect you and the transaction. Especially when sellers don't want to make a ton of repairs. If something should come up, this is a way that's going to help protect them, their budget, and also keep the transaction moving forward.
Got you.
That's how you leverage it on the listing side. Plus it can help, seller, there's unknown pre-existing conditions that may come up, and it's, I hear it all the time, Anna, my seller has no money. They have no money. They have no way to make any repairs. Well, then why would you not list with a home warranty? Right, to give that protection and that peace of mind to your seller. They're not paying until closing, so it's not like they have to come out of pocket. On the buy side, what we really started to educate is it's a risk reduction tool for you if you're representing a buyer, that when your buyers are willing to go all in, above list, waive inspections, make up that appraisal gap. I'm starting to hear again that there are multiple offers happening. So, there's several ways that you can leverage First American for your buyer in the transaction. So I'll give you scenario one. we're back into that competitive market in some areas where they say, you can't ask for anything because they're not gonna accept our offer. So by you educating your buyer that they can utilize First American as a tool, since they are willing to go in with no inspections or an inspection for information purposes only, this is a safety net and a tool for them that will help protect their budget and their investment, since that's the way that they're going into this offer. Okay, so that's one way. You set the expectation, your buyer decides on coverage. We enroll coverage prior to, or we enroll coverage when you ratify the contract. Again, nothing is paid until closing, but coverage starts immediately from the time that we enroll it. We automatically convey a portion of the coverage to the seller, complimentary. It's just an automatic in our contract. Okay, so by you protecting your buyer and enrolling the warranty, again, we automatically convey a portion of that coverage from the time it's enrolled. So we're protecting the transaction. We're that safety net. So should something come up during home inspection, even on that as is, for information purposes only, you at that point as the real estate agent have the opportunity to negotiate repairs, right?
Okay.
Now, if your buyer has agreed to pay for the warranty, but you utilize this as a strategy to, number one, protect your buyer, protect them through this process. But if something should be discovered, you at that point have the opportunity to leverage to the listing agent and say, listen, there are repairs that do have to, may have to be made. It just depends on what was found. But let's say I'll use a dishwasher. So let's say the dishwasher is deemed to not be working properly. And you're under contract, your buyer's like, I can't move in without a non-working dishwasher. You have the opportunity to leverage our home warranty since you've already placed coverage. And let that seller's agent know, hey, we do have a First American home warranty in place. We would like your seller to pay the service fee of $100 to have that dishwasher repaired or replaced.
Okay.
Right? And, or you can also leverage it and say, listen, there are quite a few concerns to my buyer that we really would like the seller to pay for the First American home warranty. So at that point, when we're hearing now that that concessions from sellers are being negotiated, a home warranty is one of those concessions that can be added into the contract and paid for by the seller. Okay, the biggest thing is placing coverage early at time of when you ratify your buyer. Having that conversation early, this is a strategy. We protect your buyer through that inspection period. And again, it's a tool that you have now in place on our system, and then you can leverage that for either the seller to make the repairs, or if they're like all in, they're like, we're not making any repairs, it was as is, we're not doing anything, if you want to release, fine. But then you have the backup of the warranty, and depending on the system that is having the problem, we convey the majority of the coverage is conveyed to the seller complimentary, but there are some limitations there. So on page 14 in the brochure that I sent you is going to show you exactly what gets conveyed over during that listing period. Okay, so we don't convey HVAC, heating, air, or ductwork to the seller. That's an option that can be added. An additional $70 will give that the buyer can add that coverage as well. But on the listing side, if the seller adds the seller heat, air, or ductwork, that's an additional $70. So if something comes up on home inspection for heat, air, or ductwork, and that coverage has not been added, we would not protect that. There would be no coverage afforded for the heat, air, or ductwork.
Okay.
Regardless if the seller enrolled it or if your buyer enrolled it, buyers purchasing as is, buyers purchasing estate properties, foreclosures, things like that. Our contract covers lack of maintenance. If you can see something visibly is not working properly, that's a pre-existing condition. But a lot of times you don't know what's behind the walls. You don't know about lack of maintenance. That's the protection you're giving to your client. Okay. Do you have any questions so far with that?
No.
Okay, so back to the dishwasher. So again, your buyer has options, which I think is what a consumer wants. You as a realtor want to keep the transaction moving forward. You want to protect your client, be it the seller or the buyer, but you want to solve problems, right? So when the warranty is placed early, either at time of list or at time when the contract is ratified, and prior to home inspection, when those unknown pre-existings come up, or when a system fails and back to the dishwasher, that's a sticking point for a lot of buyers, especially since the market shifted. They are not wanting to go above list or at the high end of their number. And then once they go through home inspection, that they see on the inspection that all these systems are end of life. Or, when the inspector says they're end of life, budget for replacement. That's a hard thing for a new buyer coming in at the high of their, the highest of their price point, and they have no savings for any repairs.
Right. Mm-hmm.
We are the tool that helps them move forward, gives them that peace of mind and that budget protection. Okay, so again, my key and my message is placing, having the conversation first, educating your clients on how to utilize this tool, whether selling or buying, the benefit to it, and how you as a realtor can leverage it on either side. Because we see, and I just posted something yesterday, we see it's about 85%, it was about 83% in January and 85% in February of contracts were being released because of repairs. So if you have a safety net and you're able in place and nothing is paid until closing, you can leverage that. Once something is discovered, and again, depending on the coverage, then you can get that seller to pay it. Or your buyer knows that they're putting this in place and they're willing to pay it at closing and give them peace of mind.
Okay.
So that dishwasher, we see that a lot. Home inspection occurs. The dishwasher is not working properly. We send, it's $100 for to file a claim for a service fee. We allow up to 3 failures to be filed under the same trade. Okay, so for a seller, that's really beneficial, and the same trade is such as electrical, plumbing, appliances. So a lot of times we do see multiple plumbing problems on an inspection. We can see multiple appliances maybe having problems. During that listing period, we do not cover the washer, dryer, kitchen, refrigerator. So when you have, and you're representing a buyer and something is not working properly, and let's say there's no warranty in place at all, or there is a warranty in place, but that coverage in those, washer, dryer, kitchen, refrigerator, don't convey at that moment. On those as is in contracts, and then when this is discovered, a lot of times sellers will want to give a concession in lieu of repairs.
Mm-hmm.
So be careful on that, because our contract and most companies do require that all systems be in good working order when you place coverage. Okay, so a lot of times they'll say, well, we'll just give a warranty or a concession in lieu of a repair. So when they give the warranty in lieu of a repair, that's going to hurt your client. Your client's going to have the expectation that everything is covered. But again, the contract requires the system to be in good working order. Okay, so if they have that system, either you ask for the repairs on the from the seller to have that system evaluated, and it might be something simple that they can get that system back up and running and in good working order, then the warranty can convey to your buyer and will protect them going forward.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I just think that, having the conversation, educating both sellers and buyers how to leverage this product properly. And the biggest thing is placing coverage early, again, time of list or time when you ratify the contract. And then you, if you're representing a buyer, have the ability to leverage it when something is discovered to either protect your client, keep the transaction moving forward, or get that seller to make, to pay for that warranty. But you can also utilize the warranty to make the repair instead of having like a stalemate and going, the sellers aren't going to repair anything. Buyers are like, I'm not moving forward. How do you solve that problem? Right? if the warranty's in place, that keeps it going.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I'll share one quick story and then if you have any questions, but I had, recently we had a house under contract, the buyer's agent enrolled the warranty. She always does on every single one. They had the home inspection for information purposes only. They deemed or found that the sump pump was not working properly. That's a big system in a house that could potentially cause a lot of damage to a property, if that's not working properly.
Right. Mhm.
So even though it was an as-is, the seller was adamant they were not making any repairs, they were not paying the service fee, the $100 service fee. Well, they didn't even know that the warranty was in place at that point because they listed as is. So the buyer, the realtors were trying to figure it out because the seller was like dug in, not doing anything. Buyer was like, I'm not moving in with the sump pump not working. It's gonna flood my house, my basement. Buyer's agent remembered, she goes, I forgot, we have a warranty. We have a First American, Eagle Premier. And the listing agent goes, well, what good is that gonna do us? and she said, well, it protects us, you know, the coverage automatically conveys to the seller. So she knows the verbiage that I use, that I recommend. And so the realtor, the listing agent ended up paying the service fee of $100. We had a plumber go out, you know, they were doing all that they can to keep it moving forward. That we went out, the plumber did confirm the sump pump was in fact not working and needed to be replaced. It was a $500 repair, okay? That our warranty being in place by the buyer's agent saves the transaction. The listing agent paid the service fee of $100. Sump pump was replaced, and then they went to settlement. So again, that's how you can leverage it, but like I said several times before, having the conversation, getting the warranty in place, and then from there, you have the ability to leverage it for several different scenarios to help you keep the transaction moving forward and solve problems for either your seller or your buyer.
Got you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
Mhm.
good. Yeah, do you have any questions for me? I mean, I didn't dig into like specifics in coverage, but I did send you the email with a summary of the coverage. What benefits there are to, you know, enrolling the Eagle Premier, even for the seller and your buyer, and then some optional coverages that are available to your buyer. So take a look at that. I will also set up your online account because we've got some amazing marketing materials for you that are complimentary that I would love for you to take advantage of. So I
Okay.
will set your account up and send you an email with a video link. So you can take a look at that once you activate the account.
Okay.
Do you have any questions or have you had any scenarios that, you know, you've run into this problem or problems with repairs?
I don't feel like I have any scenarios right now. And I think I'm pretty good on pretty much like how everything is
Okay.
working. I just want to go over again. So you said like for the seller, it's complimentary.
So right, from the time that you enroll it, so that period of time from the day that it's enrolled until the day before closing, that period of time, we are protecting your seller and they don't pay anything additional for that. The
Okay.
warranty is funded and what the seller's really paying for is for 1 year to give to the buyer. So there, that period of time, so from the time that it's on the market, so if it's put on the market today, March 2nd, and you don't close until the 31st. So from
Mhm.
today through the 30th, that is complimentary to your seller. So should something occur during that period of time and it's covered under the warranty, we would convey that coverage to your seller and they pay nothing additional.
Okay.
The 1 year mark starts day of closing. So if they close on the 31st of March, that's when the warranty gets transferred to the buyer. And that is when that warranty, that cost would be transferred and, you know, included in closing for your seller to pay.
Okay. And that cost would be the $445 if it's a single
Yeah,
family.
we can run through that. So on page 14, you see the 3 plans. You see the basic plan is $445 for
Mhm.
the single family or $390 for a townhouse or condo. Okay, so when you see the column there, you see buyer and seller. Where under the seller it says optional heating, ductwork,
Right.
air. That's that $70 additional fee that I was talking about. So if you're representing a buyer, you can see what's going to convey to protect your client through that period of time, including home inspection, before they go to settlement. So where under the seller column, they would not have heating, ductwork, or central air. And then you see the dots, so the electrical, garage door, attic fan, plumbing. Plumbing's big, right? Plumbing for seller or buyer, those are big deals. Toilets, tanks, and bowls, the water heater, the sump pump, the oven range, the dishwasher, the built-in microwave, that all conveys to your seller. So even if you're representing the buyer and you enroll the warranty, those are the systems that will be protected during that listing period.
Okay.
Or even escrow period, if you're representing the buyer, it's going to be once you ratify, that's what's going to convey until the day before closing. When it converts to the buyer, then you will see they get the heating, ductwork, and central air. Okay, now
Got you.
that makes sense. Do you have any questions about that?
No, I got you on that.
Benefit of, if you look at the difference between the basic and the value plan, if you look down at the end under, so we do offer rekeying, which is a really huge benefit to buyers purchasing a home. You never know when all the keys are coming to the table, right? Usually they don't. So the service fee is $100 to file a claim. On normal systems, we allow up to 3 failures to be filed under the same trade at the same time, which is huge. Most companies charge per claim, or per system. We allow up to 3 failures to be filed under the same trade. The difference between the basic and the value plan is that the value plan adds the washer, dryer, kitchen, refrigerator for the buyer. So start of closing, those 3 systems will be added to the value plan. Okay, the Eagle Premier is what I recommend. You can start with anything, but I think the Eagle Premier, whether you're listing or for your buyer, because it basically gives your buyer the washer, dryer, kitchen, refrigerator. Okay, they still get the component of the basic, and your seller gets the component of the basic, and then the buyer will get the washer, dryer, kitchen, refrigerator. But what they get is, it's on page 14. I'm going to try to hold this. Where I'm standing. Sorry, I'm in the wrong position here. So right here, in the yellow, look, I'm an amateur at this. So in the yellow, this first class upgrade is included in the Eagle Premier. We give this to the seller from the time of listing if they enroll with the Eagle Premier, but your buyer also gets this.
Okay,
but the benefit to your seller to enroll with the Eagle Premier is they're going to get this complimentary to them as well. This protects against failure due to improper installation. So it's second from the bottom. So if you're negotiating repairs and they don't hold, or if the seller's done some things and they had a handyman come in, or a family member, or a friend of a friend of a friend who did some work, and you don't know until your buyer moves in and starts putting true pressure that they were done improperly, without the Eagle and without this endorsement, so this is included in the Eagle, they won't be protected for that failure due to improper installation. Okay, so the warranty protects against normal wear and tear. Age is not a concern. We don't exclude for rust and corrosion, but the big one I see is the improper installation. So that's why I recommend the basic is fine if your clients have the right expectation and understand it. But we do see in the Eagle Premier, a lot of times when you're negotiating repairs or when something has been discovered, it's because of an improper installation. And so without the better coverage, the Eagle Premier, the improper installation is not going to protect your client, seller or buyer.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, those are the options, but yes, and we do give 60 days that your clients the buyers can upgrade their coverage. So if you negotiate and you can only give a basic, your buyers have 60 days that they can make changes to the coverage, which is fantastic. They can just pay the difference.
Okay.
Right. I'm always happy to talk to your sellers or your buyers. So once you have that initial conversation and you educate them and you make the recommendation, that's what you want to do as a realtor. You want to educate them and make sure that they have the correct information so they can make their best decision. But you want them to decline it. You don't want to be in the position where you've never offered the warranty, never had the conversation, because if you do, and something happens, they come back and they say, oh, my realtor never told me.
Right.
Or the transactions are moving so fast. That's what I've been seeing over the last 3 years. They're moving so fast. And again, we weren't back to basics. We were operating in a different market that was really fast. And, buyers just wanted to win. Sellers were king and queen, and buyers were just trying to do whatever it would take to get a house until they had a problem. And then they were like, well, I didn't hear that. My realtor never told me that. So you want to separate yourself and your E&O because you don't, I always say we're one layer. I hope, we're one layer between that lawsuit, right? To protect you. So having the conversation, educating your client, making them say no, declining it to you, either in writing or signing something. Hey, thank you for, I don't want the warranty. I'm good. I'll take that risk. So even though they do that, you have multiple opportunities in a real estate transaction to have that conversation. What can happen if they decline and say they don't want a warranty? We can still come in and give a warranty if they're just concerned about age of systems. Buyers start to get nervous once they have that inspection and there's no warranty in place. Maybe they told you no. And there's problems. They start to get nervous and hold feet because how am I going to fix these systems? Or renters that are now becoming buyers, right? They're used to calling a maintenance, calling maintenance. Hey, come and fix this. Now renters becoming buyers. They're like, well, who's going to fix my systems?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Exactly.
So we're that tool. But so let's say they say no in the beginning. You still have an opportunity to have that conversation again. And the only thing we can't do is fix something that's broken if coverage was not in place. But if coverage was not in place and maybe it's an easy fix, we've had this in scenarios where I get a call from a listing agent, a buyer's agent, hey, Anna, we're trying to solve a problem. We didn't have a warranty in place. This is what was discovered. A lot of times, depending on how extensive it is, my suggestion first is that system needs to be evaluated by a licensed contractor. The repair, depending on what system it is, the system needs to be repaired. Once it's deemed in good working order, we can pick up warranty from there and move forward. So they're like, okay, so, setting that expectation. So that could be a scenario that you run into. You could also run into a scenario where your buyer has said no all the way through, and then they get to go to closing, they move in and start putting pressure on systems, and they have that first problem. Guess who they're going to call? Their realtor.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know my dishwasher stopped working? I had a home inspection and everything was fine. So home inspections are great tools. I believe in them. I think they're a great way to show your buyer, what they're getting, identify any latent defects visually. It's a light mechanical, so it's not a full, hard, true pressure. But a lot of buyers have the mindset that it's the end all be all. That if I have an inspection, it's never going to break. Well, that's not true. So they can get frustrated when that happens, but you can still solve their problems. You may not be able to fix that dishwasher that broke, but hey, don't forget, we give 60 days that your buyers can get a home warranty. So they can get one after settlement. We just can't fix it, if there's a broken system. That would have to be repaired or replaced, and then we can cover them going forward. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
So many ways to leverage it, but do you have any? I don't want to be the only one talking here. So I know. Do you have any questions, or have you had any scenarios that you've gone through?
No, that was it.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, if you think of anything, and so the last thing I'll say is I'm always happy to talk to your clients. So you can introduce me to your seller or your buyer once you've engaged and had that initial conversation. I can be that expert for you. And I have a standard email that I send out. So I get brought into transactions all the time and to potential buyers or sellers, and then putting that information in front of them so that they can make their best decision. And it kind of takes it off of you as the realtor. So it's not you picking their coverage, You're just making the recommendation. And then
Mhm.
connecting them with me. So again, just wanted to put that out there that I'm happy to be that resource to you and to your clients.
Okay, cool.
Well, I hope you found this to be helpful and you learned something.
Yes, Anna, I did. Thank you.
Good, good. Well, my pleasure. And I'm gonna, as soon as we're finished, I'm gonna go ahead and send you I set up your account. I'll send you the email with the link, so you have to validate the link. And then I'll send you a video. So there's some really cool complimentary tools out there that I would love for you to take advantage of so that you can get them out to your sphere and hopefully start a real estate conversation that brings you some business and we can work together.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks for joining. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate all the information. Have a good one.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Bye.
Take care.